Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I want to ask you a question. A question that may feel deceptively simple, but if you allow it to settle into your mind, it has the power to shift the course of your life. What dangers in your life are hiding in plain sight, quietly shaping your destiny while you remain unaware of their true cost? For years, we've been taught to fear the obvious threats. The storms we can see forming, the cliffs with warning signs, the decisions that scream danger before we even get close. But the most destructive forces in our lives rarely introduce themselves with flashing lights or urgent alarms. They're not always the things that knock the door down. Often, they're the things we willingly invite in. They blend in, they disguise themselves, they seem harmless, sometimes even helpful, until one day you look in the mirror and realize something precious has been lost.
Time, confidence, dreams, purpose.
Today, I want to talk about the deadliest ingredients hiding in plain sight, and not the ones in your food, but the ones in your mindset, your habits, your relationships, your everyday choices. These invisible hazards are shaping your future just as surely as gravity shapes the path of a falling stone. And if you don't learn to identify them, to confront them, and to replace them with something stronger, you may find yourself living a life that is far smaller than the one you were meant for. My goal today is simple: to help you see clearly, to help you uncover what you've been missing, and to help you reclaim the power that has always been yours. Because once you see the truth, once you identify the hidden ingredients slowing you down, draining your energy, or dulling your ambition, you gain something extraordinary: the ability to choose differently. To guide us on this journey, I want to walk through 3 key points, each one a silent ingredient that many of us carry without knowing the consequences, each one subtle, each one seductive, each one capable of rerouting your entire life. Key point 1E: the deadliest ingredient is comfort disguised as safety. Comfort, what a gentle word. It wraps around us like a warm blanket, offering ease, familiarity, and the promise of protection. But comfort has a shadow side, and that shadow can be deadly. Comfort convinces us to choose what is familiar over what is meaningful. It persuades us that safety is the highest goal, even when the price of that safety is our growth, our courage, and our calling. I learned this lesson not during a crisis, but during one of the most quiet, uneventful periods of my life. I had a job that paid well enough, coworkers who were friendly enough, and routines that were comfortable enough. And I thought that was enough, until one evening I found myself sitting in my car in the parking lot long after work had ended. I wasn't crying. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even stressed. I was numb. The kind of numbness that comes not from exhaustion, but from a slow erosion of purpose, a quiet leaking of passion. I realized I wasn't living. I was maintaining. Comfort had become a cage, disguised so effectively as stability that I didn't notice how small my world had become. It wasn't that anything was wrong. It was that nothing was truly right. And this is how comfort works. It makes us tolerate lives that don't fulfill us. It persuades us to stay in relationships that don't challenge us, jobs that don't inspire us, routines that don't expand us. Comfort whispers, why risk it? Why try something new? Why step into uncertainty when you could stay right here? But here's the truth: comfort is not the opposite of fear. Growth is. And when comfort becomes the foundation of your decisions, fear becomes the walls that keep you there. Comfort says stay. Growth says rise. Comfort says be still.
Growth says become.
Comfort says you're safe. Growth says you're capable. Comfort promises you the absence of danger, but it rarely delivers the presence of fulfillment. Think about the moments in your life that have shaped you the most, the ones that made you proud, the ones that changed you, the ones that reminded you of your own strength. Did any of those moments happen when you were comfortable? Did they happen when you were playing small, avoiding risk, or settling for less? Of course not. They happened when you stretched, when you reached, when you dared. Comfort is a silent ingredient because it feels good. It tastes sweet, but too much of it drains you of the hunger that drives change. And if you don't learn to challenge comfort, it will quietly erode your ambition until you wake up one day and wonder where your passion went. So the first deadly ingredient is comfort disguised as safety. But once we see it for what it is, once we start choosing growth instead of familiarity, something powerful happens. We awaken the part of ourselves that remembers what we're capable of. Key point 20: the deadliest ingredient is doubt disguised as reason. We all know doubt. It's the voice that questions whether we're ready, whether we're worthy, whether we're talented enough, strong enough, or smart enough. But doubt doesn't always come at us with sharp edges or direct confrontation. Doubt is more clever than that. Doubt disguises itself as logic, rationality, practicality. It sounds responsible. It sounds mature. It sounds like the voice of wisdom, when in reality it is often the voice of fear wearing a very professional mask. Have you ever had a dream, a bold, exciting, heart-pounding dream, only to talk yourself out of it because you want it to be realistic? Maybe you told yourself, I don't have the experience. It's not the right time. People like me don't do things like that. Maybe you convinced yourself you were making a smart choice by lowering your expectations, by shrinking your goal, by delaying your start. You told yourself you were being rational, but deep inside, you knew the truth. You were negotiating with doubt. I once mentored a young woman who had a dream of starting her own business. She had vision, passion, creativity, everything she needed except belief. Over and over, she'd come up with reasons she couldn't start yet. She needed another certification, another course, another 6 months of research. She said she was preparing, but what she didn't realize was this: she wasn't preparing. She was preventing. One day I asked her, if you woke up tomorrow with complete confidence, what would you do? She didn't hesitate. She listed 10 things she would start immediately, things she'd been avoiding for years. That's when it hit her: the barrier wasn't conditions. It wasn't timing. It wasn't resources. It was doubt. Doubt had been whispering, be careful. Think it through. Wait until you're ready, not to protect her, but to postpone her life. We must understand something crucial: doubt always speaks the loudest when something incredible is within reach. Doubt is not a sign that you're failing. Doubt is a sign that you're stretching. It shows up precisely because you're approaching the edge of what you've known and the edge of what you're capable of. But here's the truth: doubt doesn't want you to know. You don't need unshakable confidence to act. You don't need absolute certainty to begin. You don't need every step mapped out before you take the first one. You can step forward while afraid. You can build while unsure. You can progress while imperfect. Every person who has ever done something extraordinary, every leader, every creator, every innovator has felt doubt. The difference is not the presence of doubt, but the response to it. Will you allow doubt to disguise itself as reason and convince you to shrink your dreams? Or will you recognize doubt for what it really is? A signal that you're standing at the edge of possibility, choosing who you will become next. When you stop treating doubt as the voice of truth and begin treating it as a challenge to rise, your life begins to expand. And when your life expands, you stop settling for what is reasonable and start reaching for what is remarkable. Key point 3: the deadliest ingredient is distraction disguised as productivity. In a world that praises business, distraction has become the most socially acceptable form of self-sabotage. It hides inside our to-do lists, our endless notifications, our packed schedules, our multitasking, our obsession with staying top of everything. Distraction rarely looks like laziness. More often, it looks like motion without meaning. We live in a time when you can be busy from dawn until midnight and still feel like nothing truly important has moved forward. We confuse activity with achievement, responsiveness with progress, and exhaustion with accomplishment. But the truth is this: you can be busy every minute of the day and still be drifting further from your purpose. Distraction disguised as productivity is deadly because it feels virtuous. It gives us a sense of momentum. Even when we're running in place, it lets us avoid the real work, the deep work, the meaningful work, while giving us just enough satisfaction to keep going. We say yes to everything because it makes us feel needed, involved, important. But every yes to something small is a no to something significant. I learned this the hard way. There was a period in my life when I said yes to every request, every project, every invitation, every opportunity, thinking I was building momentum. But what I was really building was chaos. I was busy but not effective. I was occupied but not fulfilled. I was responding but not creating. One morning, after another sleepless night, I looked at my overflowing calendar and realized something: I had created a life where I had no space to breathe, much less to dream. I was drowning in responsibilities that were never meant to be mine, and the worst part was this: I had done it to myself. So I made a decision. I started asking myself a new question every time a task, request, or invitation came my way. Does this move me toward the life I am trying to create, or does it pull me away? That simple question changed everything. It helped me separate the essential from the optional. It gave me permission to say no without guilt. It helped me reclaim my time, my energy, and ultimately my purpose. When you eliminate distraction disguised as productivity, you don't become less busy. You become more intentional. You stop filling your life with noise and start filling it with meaning. And you begin to realize that productivity isn't about how much you do. It's about how much of what you do actually matters. So ask yourself, what distractions are you mistaking for progress? What commitments are draining you without moving you? What noise have you allowed to drown out your purpose? Because once you answer those questions honestly, you unlock something extraordinary: the ability to focus your life on the things that truly matter. The call to action: choose what your life becomes now that we've uncovered the 3 deadly ingredients hiding in plain sight. Comfort disguised as safety, doubt disguised as reason, and distraction disguised as productivity. The question becomes, what will you do with this awareness? Awareness without action is nothing more than observation, but awareness paired with courage becomes transformation. You do not need a new year, a perfect moment, or an ideal plan to begin. You need only a decision, one clear, firm, powerful decision. I will no longer allow the hidden ingredients of comfort, doubt, and distraction to dictate the quality of my life. Choose discomfort when it leads to growth. Choose courage when doubt tries to lead. Choose focus when distractions beg for your attention. And most importantly, choose to believe that your life is still being written and that the pen has always been in your hands. Today is not just another day. Today is a turning point. Today is a moment you will look back on and say, that was when everything shifted. Not because the world around you changed, but because you did. Because you decided to confront the silent forces shaping your life. because you chose action over avoidance, because you stepped into the life you were meant for, not the life you settled for. So take this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, and choose boldly, choose bravely, choose with intention, and walk forward knowing that the life you want is not beyond reach. It is waiting in the space, just beyond comfort, just beyond doubt, just beyond distraction. The most dangerous ingredients are the ones we never question. But the most powerful transformations begin the moment we finally do. Your life is calling, your future is calling. And the question now is not whether you can rise. The question is whether you will. Choose to rise, choose to act, choose to be gay.